Welcome back to All Ball Takes. This is your host, Yarby Laws, and this is my co-host.
Christopher Wells.
Top notch.
We appreciate all the support in our recent content. And before we get started with today's episode, please don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us at the OBT Podcast for more content and updates. Now, it's been a little while since we've done an episode, but this time we're back and we're going to get started to kind of do a check-in on our picks to win the title, how they're going so far. I don't know if anybody's feeling necessarily super confident about it, but I'll start off with mine. So my pick to win the title this year was the Denver Nuggets. Currently 37-22, fourth in the Western Conference, half a game behind the Houston Rockets, 6 games behind the Spurs, right? Wrong about that team. And so not looking great there. But it's funny with the Nuggets because this year, when I picked them to win the title, I thought they were very close to pulling off the upset against Oklahoma City last year. I remember we wrote them off going into the playoffs because we just felt like the team wasn't deep enough. They didn't really have anybody after their top 5 or 6 guys, so they really didn't have a chance. I think we picked them to lose to OKC in 5, and then they took them to 7. Maybe they could have won if injuries hadn't hurt them. But then I thought they made all those upgrades in the offseason. They swapped out MPJ for Cam Johnson, who I thought MPJ was the better player, but I just felt like it gave them more depth, more well-rounded roster, right? They brought in Tim Hardaway Jr., Bruce Brown, Jonas Valanciunas. And so far this year, I mean, they're number 1 in offensive rating. So their offense has been the best in the league the entire season, and that's despite all the injuries they've had. Problem for them is the other end of the floor. Now, after their recent win against Boston, they moved up to 20th in defensive rating, but they've been a bottom 10 defense outside of the first couple weeks of the season when they were reasonably healthy. Jokic has missed a lot of time. He can only miss like one more game before he's ineligible to win awards. I had him as my MVP going into the year. I don't think he'll win it at this point. I think it's probably going to be SGA as long as he doesn't miss any more time. Gordon's missed a ton of time with 2 injuries to his hamstring. He's had lower body injuries the last 2 seasons, so that's not great. Peyton Watson, who's the guy that came in and progressed to a point where all of a sudden he's getting Western Conference Players of the Week awards, right? He was having a career year going into a contract year, then he gets hurt. And so he's all of a sudden been out for the last couple of weeks. He's averaging like 15 points, 5 rebounds, 40% from 3, coming off the bench and then also starting. And then Cam Johnson, right, who was kind of MPJ's replacement. He's been, kind of underwhelming this year. He shot the ball well, but he's only averaging 12 points a game. He's also missed some time, but that's kind of been what he does. He's not been very healthy the last few seasons, right, compared to MPJ, who's actually not missed a whole lot of time other than this year in Brooklyn, which maybe that's just because they're tanking. I think if they're fully healthy, I'd still give them a decent shot at being able to come out of the Western Conference and win it all because of how talented they are, and I think they can match up against Oklahoma City, but when are they going to be healthy? When is this defense going to get better? Because I just don't think it can be bottom 3rd in the league. And then and you can win it all. It's going to have to get better. I think it can get better. I believe that they were top 10. I think they were 9th defensively before all the injuries started hitting. So I think they can get back to it. I still wouldn't probably feel great about their defense because it's just there's a lot of individual guys that you got to rely on. And if Aaron Gordon isn't healthy, then they have no chance because I think he's one of the big key. He's the biggest key to their defense just because of everything he can do, especially in terms of guarding bigger guys while still being great on offense. So still really like their roster. And I guess if I gave it a confidence level or percentage, I still feel okay. Like I said, not great, but the injuries are a concern, and I think they're gonna need to move up to 3 ideally. If they're gonna, if I think they can make a deep run, which they can. They're only half a game behind Houston, but they do have the second hardest schedule in the league. They're 4-6 in their last 10. But I'm hopeful they can get healthy and figure it out.
Yeah, I think that was a good pick initially, but like you said, I think there are some very interesting concerns, especially in terms of the health, and we just haven't seen a whole lot from them. And honestly, that's another thing that with the pick that I had because I picked Houston to win the title, and that's been one of probably the worst takes that I think I've ever probably had on this channel for real. Because I mean, if you look at that team, right, it was kind of doomed from the start because of the fact that Van Vliet was hurt, right, and they have no lead guard, and that's really just been the story of the entire season for them, right? Because they don't have a real floor general, right? You're trusting, Kevin Durant, obviously, who we know what he can do with the ball in his hands, but you also have Sengun, who's, still developing. He's a great player, but He's just not at that point to be a number one option in my opinion, and it seems like they've kind of been deferring to him as that instead of going with the guy who we all know can win them ball games. But um, I think they have a great defense, right? But the offensive inconsistency is way too much, way too turnover prone. Like I said, there's no floor general or anything like that. And I think it's the late game collapses too that really just don't give me a whole lot of faith in that team because, there's multiple times where, you should be giving the ball to your closers, but for some reason, they can't really get a good shot off. I think the rotations are kind of odd as well. And that's also because of injuries, right? Like you don't have Van Vliet, you don't have Steven Adams as well. So there are things that are out of their control, but at the same time, they didn't do anything at the deadline. That was disappointing because I think we all thought that they should have grabbed some sort of point guard, right? And shout out to Reed Shepard, but he's still not, I think ready to take over the lead guard position in a stacked Western Conference like that, especially where you're going to get picked on defensively if things don't go your way. So it's tough, and the West is just that deep. That's another issue as well. But we'll see where it goes. But I don't think they're consistent enough to get to the NBA Finals. That's probably I could see them getting to the conference finals at best, but yeah, as of right now, I don't think this is a title team.
Yeah, so my option was the Minnesota Timberwolves to win the West. They made it to the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years. And this year they came in with the same roster, which I was like, you know what, fine, but they had to make a move to improve their depth. They shipped off Mike Conley, and then Mike Conley landed back on their team, but they added Ayo Dosunmu. They recently just added Kyle Anderson, right? So they're trying to, get their depth going well with Bones Highland. It's still not going to be good enough, especially in a tough Western Conference. And I think the main problem is McDaniels took the leap. Julius Randle has now taken the step back. Julius Randle has been awful this year, has been horrendous. Just yesterday against the Los Angeles Clippers, he had 4 points and he was 1 for 10, 0 for 3 at the 3-point line. This year, all his numbers, are a little bit down, right? His 3-point percentage from the year before was 35%. This year is at 31%, right? Like you're gonna need the long ball in a series. Like there's games where he can give you 30, and then there's games where he's giving you 15 and 19, which just isn't going to be enough. We all know what Anthony Edwards can bring to this team. He had a clutch shot yesterday against the Clippers. But I can't trust him in the Western Conference. I think it's a top two. I think it's going to be up to Spurs and OKC. I think Denver, they're just dealing with too many injuries, and honestly, Jokic and Jamal Murray hasn't necessarily played as well as I expected ever since Jokic came back from the injury. And I think it's because they rushed him back a little bit. He hasn't been playing well. Like, you look at his numbers, they look good. But if you watch Jokic play, it's not as what, we're used to. And so, not having Aaron Gordon, not having Peyton Watson, those are some big losses right there, of course. I think all of our picks are awful, of course, as we've seen so far. Right? The Houston Rockets, on the other hand, bro, like Kevin Durant's in burner chats talking about Sengun and Jabari
Bro,
Smith.
it's alleged. It's allegedly, bro.
It's alleged. You're right. It's alleged. We all know it's KD. But
hey, is he wrong though?
he's not wrong.
All right then, cool.
At all.
No problem.
He's not wrong at all. I mean, dude, Jabari Smith has been playing better, I will say, but he hasn't developed into the player that we all expected him to be. And, M. Thompson and as well, just if you can't shoot in this league, you're going to struggle. Like, I don't care how good of a defender you are or, all the abilities you have or all the potential. Like, he in a playoff set is going to struggle. And so with Sengun. Like, Sengun came back from his injury and has been the same Sengun that we all know. Right, and I think a lot of stuff from All-Star break, a lot of people have been struggling that made the All-Star game. It kind of feels like, I just want to make the All-Star game, and then they've fallen off the cliff. Like example, Michael Porter Jr. fell off a cliff. He was one of the best players in the league. He hasn't been the same since. So
he wasn't even named an All-Star, which is the wild part.
It's because he was trying to get into it.
Yeah,
he was trying. And he even said it. He was in a call with Black Boy Max. He's like, "Yeah, man, they stubbed me. They didn't put me into that. So I'm tight." And then, whatever. But I mean, listen. I think out of all of our options, I think we already know they're not the greatest, but I think Minnesota is gonna come on top of Houston and the Denver Nuggets. And today is February 27th, and we're gonna come back to this video and prove that Top Notch was always right.
bro, Minnesota's gonna fall to like the 6th seed, bro. Like, let's be
That's
serious.
fine. That's fine, bro. Listen, because you know who they'll be playing if they fall to the 6th seed?
I want them to
And
play Houston, please.
Houston versus the Lakers would be an awful series because they're both terrible.
Well, Houston's taking that series. The Lakers are garbage.
Lakers are garbage.
like that. There's
But
no
you know what's
question
funny
about it.
though? You know what's funny though? Minnesota and Denver are kind of matched up right now, 4-5.
That would be dope.
That means that means one good team's going home right away.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like when I look at this map, like I said, the Nuggets one, it's tricky because of the injuries. I think if they're healthy, I would probably put them above the other teams because I think when I've seen them against the Wolves this year, I think for Minnesota against Denver, the only concern I have is it's kind of similar to Houston where you don't really have a point guard there. It's Ant doing most of the scoring, doing most of the heavy lifting on offense, which can work against a lot of teams. And I guess against a team like Denver, who doesn't have a traditional rim protector, he could get it done. But I do kind of worry about the lack of depth, and they have added some, but I do kind of worry what it looks like in a playoff series. The Rockets one is tough because I think prior to the Fred injury, I would have been perfectly fine with looking at them as a contender. I felt like once he went down, it was hard for me to look at them as a championship team. But kind of like Yarby said, I was kind of under the impression that even though he was hurt, they would opt for something at the deadline where they would at least worst case scenario get like a stopgap.
Yeah.
But then you hear the GM after the deadline and he's basically telling you we're not a championship team, which, I guess, if you feel like that those injuries are, severe, which they're rotational guys, but it's not your three best players. It's not Durant. It's not Thompson. It's not Şengün. You would think you could find somebody. And to be fair, a lot of the top contenders really didn't make, any real significant moves. I know Cleveland made the hard move, but, and Minnesota got the soon move. But other than that, it was either kind of small scalish moves that could pan out, like OKC trading for Jared McCain. That's a sneaky move. You wouldn't have expected it, but like the Spurs did nothing. Houston didn't do anything. Denver didn't do anything. Maybe they add Middleton in the buyout market, but they didn't do anything at the deadline. And then after that, we can move on to the East eventually, but those teams didn't really do much either, right? So, I mean, I know the Knicks added Alvarado. Pistons salary dumped Jaden Ivey, but we kind of felt like if there's no Giannis trade, there's going to be a lot of teams that will probably wait and save their assets for the summer. So that's my concern with some of those teams. For Houston, I think, like you said, I think they can still win a playoff series. I think it's going to be hard for them to win 3 playoff series to get out of the conference because of, like you said, the late game offense concerns. Even though you have Durant, there's no real structure or consistent flow to when you watch them on offense. And that's how they end up kind of blowing some of these games that they should probably win, right? Like, what was the game that they lost? The Knicks one, right? Where they had the 18-point lead in the fourth quarter. And then you just watch them and it's turnover after turnover, bad shot after bad shot. And they can't really seem to get anything going. But I think, like, since you didn't trade for a guard, you're going to have to close with Reed Shepherd. You're going to have some type of guard in there pretty much at the end of the games. And then maybe he just doesn't, maybe Udoka just doesn't trust him. But that's probably what you're going to have to go down with because I don't really see a real pathway if he can't be good. Because that was really like kind of what you're hoping for, right? You're kind of hoping for, all right, Fred VanVleet's out, but we can hopefully bank on Reed Shepherd. So he's going to have to be good. And if he doesn't, I mean, then it's going to, then they're probably going home early. And then for Minnesota, that's the part where that's the team that I'm a little bit higher on than Houston, but I think they need to finish strong because they've also been very inconsistent at times where, they have games where they look really good against some of the best teams. Then they have other games where I don't know what's going on, right? Where they'll have a game where they get blown out by Philly. I know they didn't have their bigs. That'll happen over the course of the regular season. But just weird games like that, right? Losing to Utah. They had that 5-game losing streak. That was coinciding, I guess, with the stuff in the city. Who knows? But just in general, they're tough to figure out. They're more so a team where I think in the playoffs they can be better because we know they can defend. And you do have a guy that you can turn to late in games. But it is something I'm a little bit worried about just because I don't know. I don't feel like that they're necessarily better than they were last year, even though, to be fair, Ant's taken the leap forward. McDaniels has taken the leap. Randall was really good, like you said, but recently he's not been that great, and you have to have him be good because you don't have any other options. Like if he's not good, you're not going to be able to get very far, and that's kind of the tricky part on, betting on him. What do we think of the Spurs though? Because that's the team that I think going into the season, I know there were people who liked them because I remember we had a comment on one of our old Instagram or YouTube posts that felt like when we did our tier list for the Western Conference, that the Spurs should really be considered a tier 2 team, I think. And I had them in as like tier 4 going into the season. I took the under because I stupidly didn't think that their group would mesh well together. Even if they took the leap, how does it going to look? If Wemby's hurt and misses time, can they sustain? And they've actually been able to do all that. But could we actually see a pathway for them to get out of the Western Conference? Because they're only a game and a half back of the 1 seed. If you can get it, you could potentially avoid both OKC and Denver, depending on where everybody finishes. And then they don't have any playoff experience. So that's the tough part where I need to see them go through some tough playoff series. But they do have a formula and a system where it seems like they, at least in the regular season, match up really well. What do we think about them?
They're to me, they're a regular season team. I know it's probably like a hot take, but shout out to Wemby because he's been doing phenomenal things. Shout out to Stephon Castle, all the young guys as well. Like I love the young core, but I just don't think that they're going to get probably past the second round. I mean, I could see them maybe winning one series, but yeah, once they go up against, I think, a real contender, in that second or potentially even further than that, they're just not going to be able to sustain whatever they've been doing. And like you said, they've been doing some phenomenal things, right? They create so much rim pressure, and then obviously we know what Wemby can do, with the ball in his hands as well. So they have, like you said, a formula. I just don't know if it's going to be sustainable come playoff time, especially if a lot of those teams, that people have above them are going to be, almost fully healthy in a 7-game series, because it's not just one game. It's not a one-off or, 2, 3. It's a 7-game series.
Right.
Yeah, that takes the worst take I ever heard in my life.
Here we go.
Anyways, man, listen, this is the same dude that's gonna ride OKC to the end of it. The San Antonio Spurs are here, and they're legit. They're gonna come to win. My only concern about the Spurs is Wemby, because Wemby can't handle the pressure. Like, he's getting bullied, and when I say he's getting bullied, like, I watch him play against the Detroit Pistons. They're just pushing him around. They put a body on him. When you put a body on Wemby, he can't handle that type of stuff. And that's what the playoff intensity is gonna be. And honestly, Wemby has not been playing well the last 3 games. His shot hasn't been there. He even said, "Listen, I haven't been sleeping well. I haven't been taking care of my body. My legs, they're gone." Like I seen some Spurs fans say, like, "Yo, they're concerned about Wemby." But the crazy thing is, they're still winning games without him. This shows you how good this team is. I think the young core is just doing what they got to do. Not doing what they got to do, but they're doing over. What's that word? Overachieving. Because we didn't expect them to be in this spot right here at all. But no, they're easily the best 2 teams. We have concerns about every other team in the Western Conference. Denver, Minnesota, Houston. I mean, they can match up with any of these teams. I'm not worried about any of them. The only team that's going to be a tough matchup, no matter what, is going to be OKC. And I think the Western Conference Finals is going to end up with one of those 2 teams. And if they got to face off with each other, that'll be the best conference in the playoffs. Simple as that, man. So I totally disagree. The Spurs are legit, and you can't name one team that would beat them in a 7-game series this year outside of OKC that's going to make it competitive. Please
Houston.
name one.
Give me Houston.
Yeah, see, that's just nonsense right there. Houston is awful.
Give me Houston, bro.
Yeah. See, that's when the conversation ends, brother.
Right.
Listen.
Yeah.
I realistically, right? If we look at the NBA standings once again, and it's like they're gonna stay the 2nd seed unless they get to that number 1 seed, which is they could, to be honest with you. They're 2 games away.
Not happening.
They're 2 games away. They're on 11-game win streak. They're the hottest team in the league. They haven't lost in over a month, so definitely could happen. OKC, yeah, they're getting their players back. Yep. Besides J-Dub. But anyway, say if they get matched up, with the Suns, they're going to win that matchup, right? They get matched up with the Warriors, they're going to win that matchup. I mean, like, bro, these first-round matchups are easy. You go into the second round, it's like, what? Who are we thinking? Denver, Minnesota, Lakers? Those are all easy matchups for the Spurs.
Houston.
It's the truth, man. Like, I understand what your point is, though, right? The regular season is totally different than the postseason. I get that. We seen it with your team. We seen it with Jaden Daniels. Amazing regular season, goes in the playoffs, chokes. We seen it. We seen it.
Ironic coming
I
from a
get it.
Cowboys fan, considering you have Dak Prescott. But hey, let's
I get
stick
it.
to basketball here, right?
So I understand, but I'm high on the Chris. I'm high on the Spurs,
Yeah, holy
right? Like
glaze.
that's fine. You've been you know what I mean? Like that's fine. They're a good team.
It's a lot of glaze, bro.
Honestly,
Kind
the
of in
team
the
I have
middle.
been glazing is in the Eastern Conference, and we'll get to that. I'm
Oh,
high on them, and you're not gonna like it.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Here we
I'm
go.
kind of in the middle on the Spurs because I do think, like Yarby said, I think the first round matchup, like maybe they might struggle a little bit, but I think they should be if they stay the 2 seed or they're the 1 seed, they can handle any of the playing teams, I would say. But I do have some concerns about as you move deeper into the playoffs because even for these guys, like I mean, they haven't gone through a playoff series, and it's not just like the schemes and all the adjustments that you have to go through. It's the fatigue too, because even like Oklahoma City, there was a stretch in that Pacers final series where they were gassed, right? I think it was Game 5 or whatever, whichever one where it was close, where it was basically just Shea, and even he was kind of running on fumes at that point, and the Spurs haven't been able to get through. They haven't done any of that. I do think that if they get hot, I could see them maybe doing better than people think, but I think that there's just a traditional pathway that these teams have to go through. But with the way that the Western Conference has been with these injuries, like there is a world where hey, Denver's just not healthy, OKC's just not healthy, and then they end up going further than anybody would have expected. But if OKC and these other teams are at full strength, even though they beat the tar out of Oklahoma City this year, I think OKC will still beat the Spurs. I know the formula that the Spurs have had in terms of Wemby being in the middle, and kind of making everything as difficult as possible. But even like you said, Top Notch, like the physicality part for Wemby, he hasn't experienced that in the playoffs either, at this point. So I am curious to see what it looks like. But at the same time, I don't feel as comfortable like saying that they're gonna get out of the Western Conference and win the title, but I am prepared for anything because the injuries I do think have kind of created a scenario where we might be on a collision course where, if I had to look at them, I think those 4 teams can get out of the finals or can get out of the Western Conference.
Which ones?
Right? Oklahoma City,
Okay.
Denver.
Okay.
Those are the ones that I'm very confident in.
Okay.
The other ones, I think they need luck. Like, I think Minnesota needs some luck. I think
Absolutely.
Houston would need some luck. And
Yeah.
I think the Spurs would need some luck. I think that's
I'll
what
be
they're
honest with you. I'm not confident in Denver. Denver, I was, but Denver has not played well with Jokic and Murray,
and
and
that's fair.
they've been bad. They've
Yeah,
been
and
really.
that's fair, especially with the injuries. If Gordon is just cooked, then they have no shot. Yeah, I would say.
I think he is though. I think he's cooked.
Yeah,
You
if
having
he is, then they have no shot.
back-to-back hamstring injuries is
Yeah, it's no joke.
dangerous. It's
It's no
dangerous.
joke.
Then you had Watson with a hamstring injury, right? And that's his only one, but like you have to be careful with those type of things. And it's like Christian Brown, Cam Johnson has not been playing as well as you wanted them to be.
Right.
Bruce Brown hasn't been great. I know a lot of people don't like Russell Westbrook, but Russell Westbrook would have been their better backup point guard.
Holy, dude.
No, it's true. He played
It's
good in
false.
Denver. No, it's not false at all. That's one thing they lack on right now is still backup play. Because Julian Strawther is Julian Strawther.
Yeah, he's a bench.
But
steward.
he's
not
been
like
hooping though.
Yeah.
Julian Strawther's been hooping. He's better than Russ. He's been hooping.
The Houston, but with the Rockets thing, my issue is more so the injuries. I just think like without Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams, I think that's where it's going to be tough. Like if they were fully healthy like these other teams, then I would feel more confident about them. It's just without those two guys, that's where I'm a little bit worried because I'm just wondering like where are the points going to come from? Like, like when Amen Thompson, what's going to happen when he gets the Russ treatment or the who's the other guy back in the day, the Tony Allen treatment, where like they just stand in the paint
Ben
and
Simmons.
dare him to hit outside shots. And a guy like Şengün, I remember at the beginning of the year, we were like, wow, this guy's shooting 40% from 3. Like on several attempts a game. Remember opening night when he was just hitting everything from the outside and it wasn't just wide open threes where they're just daring him to shoot. Like he's stepping confidently into everything. But now he's quietly gone back to statistically being one of the worst shooters in the league.
He's horrible, bro. He's holding that team back. I don't care.
Yeah, so and again, I also think like just the front office choosing to sit out the deadline, I think is kind of a code word for we don't believe in this team. Now I think it's the injuries because I do think if they were healthy, I think they would have a real shot. But I just am kind of a little bit. I'm disappointed that they didn't do anything because because both you and I thought that they'd be more active. We thought maybe they get a Kobe White, maybe they get a Desunmu, maybe they get an Alvarado. They didn't do anything, right? They haven't even. I mean, in the buyout market hasn't really been good, so I can't really blame them for not doing anything in the buyout market. But that part's disappointing. I like the Wolves pickups, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just lower on them than maybe some other people. I don't know if I can see them in the finals. Like I said, unless some of these other teams end up being disappointing. But we'll see.
The buyout market has been awful. You know,
Yeah.
when Todd Gibson is getting back into the NBA, it's a problem. Like, yeah, seriously. 40-year-old Todd Gibson, Kyle Anderson being a big signing for Minnesota, which is just awful. Like, and I understand, like, he's an okay player, but like, bro, like, it's just been bad. I think the one I'm waiting on is the Chris Middleton one, if he decides. And I've been hearing rumbles about Russ. I don't think that's gonna happen. But the only big one right now is Chris Middleton. I think everybody else got
Yeah.
signed. D'Angelo Russell, he recently just came out saying, "Yo, no one wants me, and I guess I have to play for the Wizards." Bro, D'Angelo Russell's career is so down bad. He's going to be out the league next year. Lonzo Ball is going to be out the league next year. Both of them are free agents. Well, Russell's on the Wizards, but bro, like these two players, like at a point in time, they're like somewhat valuable to a team. You know what I mean? And now they're just trash. They're going to be on a podcast soon. I'm seeing Lonzo Ball dance on Twitter looking like a bozo. That's his next step, dancing, bro, because he can't hoop.
Yeah.
You know what I
Any hope,
mean, bro?
any
Hey, it's
hope for the
injuries, bro.
lower playing teams? Like any hope for Warriors, Clippers, any of that?
Next question.
I actually have hope in
Oh,
both those. I actually have hope in both of those teams. I think the
Okay.
Clippers actually have been playing well. With Kawhi Leonard when he was healthy.
it was.
No, he has. Mathurin is a bucket. Mathurin is a bucket. Mathurin is a good player. Garland will be back soon, so I think they're in a playing team. I think they'll be a fun playing team. I'm not saying they're going to go out there and win a championship. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they're one of those teams that they have nothing right. It's not like they're out. Their objectives to win a championship right now. They're developing. Well, not developing, but they're going young, right? You know, we was clowning them a few episodes ago, but they're going young. They're getting these picks. You know, they're no longer that old pickup truck. You know
They're
what I
still
mean?
that old pickup truck because
No, not really.
look at what
They got
happened.
they got pretty young, man.
They're on a 3-game losing streak, and Kawhi's still the engine, bro. It's chalked. They're cooked.
Yeah, but they're gonna be in the plane. That's what I'm saying. They're gonna be a playing team, no matter what. And when that team is healthy with Garland, with Mathurin, with Kawhi Leonard, you do not want to see them. I'm just telling you that. They're
They're
good.
not going to be healthy though.
They are. Kawhi has been healthy all year.
They're not going to be healthy come playoffs.
I
It's
promise
not healthy
you.
right now, though.
That's typical.
Right. Exactly. It's typical.
And John Collins has been out with injury as well. So now you're missing 4 of your key players. No, those are 4 of their key players. And the crazy thing is they have been hooping. Golden State, bro, Curry hasn't even played. Porzingis hasn't played. They're finding ways to win games. You're laughing at these teams, but these teams are just trying to get into the playoffs to get their star players back, and they're gonna hoop. Like, bro, there's
There you
still we have so much we just had a whole podcast right now talking about all the questions about all these top teams, right? Any night, any day, these teams in the bottom could take them out. Minnesota can get eliminated first round. Houston could get eliminated in a first round matchup.
No, they're not.
They could. Both of those teams
Bro.
could be eliminated first round. The Lakers could get eliminated in the first round,
They
depending
suck.
matchup. Those teams right there, no, it's because they're all inconsistent. Every single team that I just named, the Lakers, the Timberwolves, and the Rockets are all inconsistent. They can all be bounced out first round against the Phoenix Suns, against the Warriors. Those teams, they could.
No.
Trust, the Phoenix Suns are a good team.
So you're telling me Phoenix plays Houston in a 7-game series. You're taking Phoenix over Houston?
Bro, I can't. Bro, I don't think Houston's good. I really don't. Have you been watching Houston?
Yeah. Why do you think I said they're freaking inconsistent?
Bro.
But they're not losing in the first round.
Depending their matchup, I think they could.
So who do they lose to? Out of all the playoff and play-in teams, who do they lose to, and who do they beat? I'm just curious.
Okay. I'm gonna do this real quick. Okay, so the Rockets are the 3rd seed. Okay,
Yes.
so say they match up with the Lakers. I'll be honest with you. Both inconsistent teams. I'm taking the Lakers in that series.
Oh my god. Are we
I am.
serious?
No, I'm beat, bro. Bro, I don't even like the Lakers. I hope they lose every single game. But the Lakers, just in a playoff series against Houston, they have no one to stop Luka. It is what it is. LeBron turns it. Don't say M. Thompson. Don't even say Thompson, bro. Don't say that. Because Thompson is not is not locking. No one in the league can lock up Luka. No one.
Yeah, but who's gonna give freaking Luca some help? Because I ain't gonna lie, that trio of Braun, Luca,
Worked out.
and
You're
AR
right.
is garbage.
It hasn't worked out, but the scoring power is legit. They have a lot of scoring power that I think is just better than what Houston has.
Ayton is trash too, bro. So
He is
what are we
trash,
doing?
but your big position is trash as well.
Oh, I know he's bad. He's terrible, bro.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's like, bro, like that's a matchup. I'm taking the Lakers.
I'm taking KD, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
LeBron has been beating on KD his whole career.
Okay, that has nothing to do with what I said. LeBron is washed, bro.
LeBron isn't washed. I wouldn't say that.
You sure about that?
Nah, he's not washed. He's not washed.
Okay,
Okay, but
washed
look,
is
so
an
I got
exaggeration, but he's just, you know what I'm saying.
yeah, I got you. Okay, so the Suns, you probably would favor the Rockets in that matchup. But the Suns are a good team, bro. The Suns were actually better than the Rockets at a point in time until everybody got hurt. So everybody got hurt, they're cooked. The Warriors, I'll be honest with you, the Warriors are not a good team, but they got Steph. Steph can bring anybody to a series. So that's Curry for you. And then Portland, no. Clippers, probably no, right? Minnesota's beating the Rockets. The Nuggets are beating the Rockets. The Spurs are beating the Rockets, and the Thunder are beating the Rockets. So all these teams I have beating the Rockets.
That's insane. That's
Who do you
just
have not beat? So who's not beating the Rockets?
the Lakers are not beating the Rockets. The
Okay,
Suns
that's a toss up. That's a toss up though.
the Suns are not beating the Rockets. The Warriors are not beating the Rockets. What? The Trailblazers are not beating the Rockets. The Clippers
I
are
mean,
not.
we agreed on all that though. We
All right,
agreed on
cool.
all that.
Like I said,
Yeah.
the only team that I think the only two teams that could probably take the Rockets is probably Denver and OKC for me.
You're telling me the Spurs ain't beating the Rockets?
I told you in a 7-game series, I'm taking the freaking Rockets, bro.
Oh, brother,
What
you're gonna have
this year? Think about it. Like you want to talk about regular season, bro? It's the record is what 1-2. Rockets only won 1 game. They played 3 of them, so we still got more to go since everybody wants to glaze the regular season.
I can't wait to the playoffs, bro. Because
Me too.
can we just have like a watch party? Because like I need a watch party between Rockets any team they play.
Why?
Any team they
Why?
play, I want to have a watch party with you, Yarby, because I just want to tell you how bad your Houston Rockets are. That no one takes them serious. No one. Not even your star player takes the Rockets serious.
Hey, bro. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. You're not wrong, but at the same time, you're definitely not right. That's all I'm gonna say, bro. Hey,
All right,
the playoffs are different, bro. That's all I'm gonna say.
You're right. No, they're totally different. 100%.
That's all I'm gonna say, bro. I'm taking Katie in the playoffs over all those players that you mentioned, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
You know who I'm taking in the playoffs?
Yeah, we know. Ant Edwards, we already know, bro.
Donovan freaking Mitchell and the Cavaliers. That's who I'm taking in the playoffs.
Yeah, let's switch to the East, please.
Yeah, let's go switch to the East.
Yeah, like I said, final words on the West. I think it'll be a fun postseason, but we'll have to see who comes out of it. But for me personally, OKC and the Nuggets are the two teams where I think if they're fully healthy, I would be very surprised if they went out in the first round. The other ones wouldn't shock me. Spurs, it would depend on who they play. After that, anything below 3 is a toss-up. And then moving into the Eastern Conference, what a tricky conference this one is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I got some hot takes in the Eastern Conference, and I can't wait to go. But
yeah, so my pick to come out of the East, not to win it all, but to come out of the East was the New York Knicks. So I think they're good, but there are nights where I watch them and I'm like, am I sure that they're good? Because I've seen them have a lot of good nights against, good teams. I've seen them beat Denver. They had to come back against Houston. They beat the Spurs in the cup game, although since they won the cup, like whoopee, they haven't been as consistent. But then there's other nights where they get smashed by Detroit, they get smashed by Cleveland, and I don't know what to think of them anymore. They're 6-4 in the last 10, which is good. In clutch games, they're like 14-10, right? That's was one of the weird parts of Denver this year is they've actually not been very good. They're 14-15. If I'm looking at, I guess, more of the advanced numbers, right? The Knicks are third in offensive rating this year. Defensive rating, they're 11th. So above average defense, very good on the offensive end. Despite Towns seemingly having a down year individually in terms of his stats, Brunson's still as good as always. They do have some more depth compared to last season. They added Alvarado. Clarkson's now out of the rotation, but Shamit's healthy. He's playing. McBride is out because of a hernia, and then they added Sohan. I mean, my concern about that is a good team just waived him and let him go. Now he's going to the Knicks. I mean, why did a good team waive that guy? They felt like he was good, but he could probably maybe still be an energy guy. But I think the Knicks, based off their past postseason success, it's like Minnesota, where it's like, even if you don't feel good about them in the moment, you've seen them make deep runs before. That's kind of what you have to take into the playoffs with you. But I still don't necessarily feel great about it because, you look around at these other Eastern Conference teams, some of these teams are good. Um, for me, I only feel good about 4 because after 4, that's where I have the question marks about everyone else, right? Because, like, say, we don't have to spend a ton of time on them, but Toronto, as a playoff team, I don't really feel strong about them having a deep run. Philly, of course, they have Embiid and Edgecombe and Baxi and Paul George, but I don't know if they can be healthy. And then after that, I just don't feel strongly about any of these other teams, right? Orlando, Atlanta, Miami, Charlotte. Bucks, I mean, they're 8-2 in their last 10, but they still have a lot of work to do to get back up there if they even get in there at all. Maybe Giannis will be back, but either way, it's the 4 teams in the Eastern Conference for me. And for the Knicks, I mean, they haven't played well against Detroit or Cleveland. Well, they beat Cleveland early, but they played one game with the new group and they didn't look very good. It's one game. They shot horribly. Maybe that flips. Boston, they played twice. They got smashed by Boston the first game, smashed the Celtics the second game. But I need to see Tatum come back and be healthy, be like 80-ish% before, I believe in a deep Celtics run. I need to see him come back. Just because I like the team and I like how it looks, but I need him to kind of fill in the gaps. Right? Detroit, I like them, but I do have questions about them from the additional creation, the 3-point shooting. They salary dumped Ivy, which stinks because I feel like if he was good and if he was healthy, that could probably be your secondary guy, but that hasn't been the case. But Knicks, I'm feeling okay. I mean, it's the Eastern Conference, so I can't rule them out. They've been there before. They can win close games because they have Jalen Brunson. But would it be shocking to me, like, if they didn't make the finals? Like, no, because I do like these other Eastern Conference teams. But I'd be disappointed because, no Indiana Pacers because that's been their kryptonite. That's kind of been their lone kryptonite so far in their playoff runs. Not having them and you don't make the finals, that feels like it'd be kind of a disappointment. So, I mean, I guess do I feel better about them making the East than Denver making the West? No, not really. Because like I said, I've seen good nights from them, but I've seen bad nights from them too. So there's inconsistency there that I don't really like to see if I'm gonna feel confident about picking a team to make the finals. Not necessarily win the championship because they were my Eastern Conference pick. They're the runner up, but that's how I'm feeling about them so far. So good, okay, but not great.
I picked the Knicks too. This team's garbage. I'm gonna be so honest. I think this team doesn't get past the second round. From what I've seen throughout the regular season, right? They're definitely not the same team from last year, and I think that's kind of disappointing because I thought that they would build on their identity from last year, but it seems like they've taken, steps forward in other areas for sure, but also multiple steps backwards in others, especially with Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's honestly one of the biggest issues because if you can't produce at a consistent level as a number 2 option on a supposed championship team, then I don't think there's a shot for this team to win anything at all. I think the defense is subpar at best. I think, they have a great defensive unit on paper, right? But then I think their vulnerability is like completely, I don't even know what the word is, but
It's bad. When it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah, they're a super vulnerable team. Like in transition, it's lazy. I don't like they don't attack closeouts well. It's just weird overall, and I think that kind of happens when you have multiple guys and multiple stars that aren't really defensive guys. So you are putting pressure on a lot of wings and other bench guys that maybe aren't as reliable on the defensive end, and like you said, the late game execution is awkward. They shoot themselves out of games, and then when it comes to the late game stuff, you can't find a rhythm. So, you're basically cooked for the entire match. But yeah, I think the role player inconsistency is annoying as well because I think they have depth, and I think that was the thing that everybody liked about them was they had a good offseason. They brought in all these additions, but I think the bench has still been underwhelming, even though it is statistically better than last year, but just not enough to make me feel like it's a championship roster. I just don't see it. And also Mike Brown, I'm not a fan of the majority of the adjustments that he's made. I think Tibbs was a little bit better in my opinion. I think there was a little bit more belief in what was going on over there. And I think the defensive identity that they had last year definitely helped the grit and grind. And I feel like there's a little bit of an edge that has definitely been lost. And I think that's, why you see them struggling against teams that, they kind of had their numbers in the playoffs last year.
So these are my tier 1 teams. Boston Celtics, the Charlotte Hornets, the Cavaliers, and the Detroit Pistons. Those are my tier 1 teams. Everybody else, trash. Knicks, trash. Raptors, trash. Sixers, trash. Magic, trash. Miami, trash. Atlanta, trash. Bucks, trash. The team that's going to win the Eastern Conference is going to be the Boston Celtics. And if it's not the Boston Celtics, it's going to be the Detroit Pistons. Simple as that. The East, it's easy. We're overthinking this. We're overthinking it. New York Knicks, they thought they were good because they picked up Jeremy Shohan. He's one of the worst players in the NBA. He is awful. He thinks and you know something about Jeremy Shohan? This is why you never want to disrespect the legends and the greats and talk trash. Because when he first started his career, he wanted to laugh at Russ. Oh, who's that? Russell Westbrook, bro. You're about to be out of the NBA, bro. You was on the bench for the San Antonio Spurs. You wasn't even playing in garbage time, and now you're not even playing on the New York Knicks. You are terrible. You never disrespect the GOAT ever like that again in your life. The New York Knicks have one score, and that's it. Karl-Anthony Towns has been playing better. Don't trust him. It's Jalen Brunson against the world. Mikal Bridges, trash. OG Anunoby, overrated. Jose Alvarado, a fun player to watch. But everybody else, I'm not worried about the New York Knicks one bit. It's just going to be the Boston Celtics because Tatum will come back, and they're going to win the East. And if it's not them, it's Detroit. And Charlotte is better than every other team that's ranked in this top 6 outside of Boston and Detroit. Argue with me now in Cleveland, but it's the truth. It's facts.
I'm gonna be honest. That might have been the worst statement I've heard in maybe 3 weeks. Like,
that's fine.
So you're telling me a 10 seed,
yep,
is better than 9th, 8, 7, 6, 5, and you also said 4, I believe.
Correct. They're
and
better
3?
than the Hawks. They're better than the Hawks. They're better than the Miami Heat. They're better than the Magic. They're better than the 76ers. They're better than the Toronto Raptors. Yes, and they're better than the Knicks.
I'm gonna be real, bro. No, just no,
so
bro.
Who's better than them? Who's better than them?
Philly.
Philly's not better than them. Philly is awful.
Philly is better than
They're
Charlotte.
not.
And y'all already know I can't stand Philly.
So what happened when they played with each other and they got 50 piece?
That's fine. Hey, at the end of the day, bro, it's the
no. That's not fine.
7-game series. 7-game series, right?
Oh, 7-game series, Joe. Okay, perfect.
First of all, hang on. First of all, we gotta make sure that Charlotte can even get into the postseason in the first place, right? This is the 10 seed. This is the 10 seed.
They will.
Right? So they'd have to win every single play-in game. Cool. Then they'd be the 8th seed. Right?
Then they play Detroit.
Then they play Detroit. So you're telling me Charlotte bounces Detroit?
I never said that. I said Charlotte is better than every other team besides Detroit, Boston, Cleveland.
So Charlotte loses to Detroit.
Yes.
Charlotte loses to Boston.
Yes.
Charlotte beats New York.
Correct.
Are we serious right now?
I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. Yo, bro, the New York Knicks are not good.
I'm aware. We all, I think we all just said that. But the Charlotte Hornets are not better than the New York Knicks, bro. Like, let's be serious.
Yeah, they have. They have been.
No, like, yeah, sure. In the recent game stretch or whatever, right? The 10
That's
game
not
stretch.
even recent no more. It's not even recent no more. It's been like a few months.
Right.
It's not even recent, Yarby, no more. It's not even recent.
But the Knicks are 37-22.
Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets would have been that if they had a slow start, and that's fine. They showed who they are. They're a very good team.
So you think this is the third best team in the Eastern Conference?
No, I think they're the fourth best team.
Who do you have ahead of them?
I have the Cavaliers.
It's Detroit, Boston, and Cleveland.
So they're the fourth best team in the Eastern Conference.
Yes.
Wow.
Do you trust Toronto? Do you trust Toronto?
I'm gonna be real, bro.
You could.
I'm ready. Shout out to Brandon Ingram, bro.
He's good. He's good.
I trust Brandon Ingram over anybody on the Charlotte Hornets, bro.
The reason why I'm so high on Charlotte, it's not because, it's 1 month. They've been playing like this for several months. This is who they are. They came to play. They're coming to play every single night. And the fact that they had several players suspended and they still found ways to win. And this is another hot take. Con Kneppel is the rookie of the year over Cooper Flag.
Everybody knew that.
Yeah, and especially if he doesn't play, he may not even be on the list at all, right? Because how many games has he missed at this point?
Yeah, he missed a lot. But Cooper Flag was the favorite though, because Cooper Flag was balling like crazy.
Well, yeah, and he's the media darling too.
He is the media, yeah. But Con Kneppel just broke the 3-point record. He's definitely gonna win it. But yeah, I got Charlotte as the fourth best team. Sorry. And it's another thing too is I think you're missing the point that there's still 20 plus games left, and they're only 1 game away from Atlanta, so that gets them to the 9th seed.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
I do.
And Miami, I love Miami's my team. You know that Miami has been awful. They're inconsistent. Miami's 31-29. Charlotte is 29-31. Charlotte will have more wins than Miami. It's just going to happen.
Now too, right? And you out?
You said what?
I think Norman Powell is out. Right?
And Norman Powell's injured. Yeah. So it's not it's a hot take, but it's not as hot as you think, because every team that I name, they're better. Okay, we like Philly. Philly's a joke. And the reason why I'm not worried about Philly no more is because Philly, Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe's legs are cooked. That's just because they're playing 50 minutes a night because they have nobody else on their roster, because Paul George is suspended. Joel can never play. So they're just milking their legs. Pause. And it's like when you get into a 7-game series, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. If you notice, VJ Edgecombe has fallen out of being like the top dog. Like, beginning of the year, he was awesome. No one really talks about Edgecombe like that no more. That's because he's struggling. He is struggling a lot. Tyrese Maxey, 76ers fans complain about him a lot. I don't watch them a lot to see why, but they do complain about him a lot. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
My concern about Charlotte is the postseason, as I'm just worried about, not worried, because if they get in the playoffs, sure they'll be happy to be there. But I need to see what it looks like in playoff, because that's going to be those guys' first taste of playoff basketball. Like LaMelo Ball, never been in the postseason, other than the play-in games, which is I guess kind of like a playoff game, but not really. And most of the other guys, it's the same thing. That's my concern. But they're just happy to be there. You know what I mean? They don't have the pressure necessarily that some of these other teams will feel. I guess that's how you could look at it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. There's no pressure on Charlotte at all. They can come here and upset New York or upset, one of these top teams. They can do that. There's no pressure on them. No one had expectations on this team. They overachieved this year. And this is the next step that they needed to take. And then next year, a lot of people is going to start, okay, let's see if they're for real. Can they do this now next year? right? That's when people are going to start taking them serious. So, um, I'm standing on that. I'm looking forward to it. I think Boston, you just can't doubt Boston no more. I mean, Boston is just awesome at this point, right? Um, it doesn't matter who's out there. Doesn't matter.
Another team I was wrong on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's playing. They're out there. They're gonna find a way to win, right? So yeah, man. Charlotte's a fun team. LaMelo, Concanepo, Brandon Miller. They're a big three right now. That's just playing really, really well.
Yeah, the Cleveland one, they've been playing incredible basketball. I just want to see them healthy too, right? Because I know Harden has the thumb thing going on. Mitchell apparently now has a groin injury, right, or something like that. And I
Yeah.
know he said it's not serious, but this is not the time of the season where you want to have those type of injuries. But even when those guys have been out, they still have played pretty well. Like I know they lost to the Bucks, but like they sat what Harden, Mitchell, and Mobley, and they were pretty close to pulling it off. And I like the pieces they've added. Like, you have Shooter now as a backup guard. You don't want too much Dennis Shooter, but just having that compared to what they had going into the season, where it's like, can Lonzo Ball just be good, please? And like that didn't work out at all. Like you said, he might be out of the league. Well, he is out of the league right now. He's not on a team.
Well,
So that's the team. That might be the team that like I wouldn't pick them. I'm not picking them because I'm sticking with my pick. But that is a team that might scare me the most, like of some of these other teams, just because I don't. It's new, it's different. I do like a lot of the pieces, but you have to bank on Harden. But you could also say if he stinks, you got Mitchell, and then he's generally been a very good playoff player. But
well,
what
Chris,
do you
they just beat Detroit with no Harden and no Mitchell.
Right. And to be fair, that's my concern about Detroit. Only because I'm worried about them not having a secondary guy after Cade as a ball handler, as a perimeter guy. It's a lot of, hey, Dennis Jenkins, do your thing. Or Karis LeVert, do your thing, right? Like they salary dumped Jaden Ivey for Kevin Herter. He doesn't play at all, right? So like they basically like this guy's not good. We don't need this guy as a part of our rotation. And it's not like a knock on Cade. It's just that you're so reliant on him that I find it really difficult for them to be able to pull out the win in the postseason. Win a 7-game series if he's not fantastic like every game. And that's too much to ask because everybody's going to have like one stinker in the playoffs. Like even the best players in the league, they're guaranteed to have at least one, right? Like Jokic, SGA, those two guys last year, they both had a few playoff games where they didn't play very well. So that's the concern that I have about Detroit. Not winning a playoff series, but getting all the way to the finals. That's where I think it might be tricky. Because I was actually higher on Detroit going into this year. Didn't have them as a tier 1 team, but I did like them and thought that they would take a step forward. But certainly I didn't expect them to be like a finals team. And they didn't do anything at the deadline either, because like I said, they salary dumped Ivy. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And what were you gonna say?
No, honestly, looking at the trade deadline, like you said, no contender did anything. And that's because of the new CBA rule, because they have so much, top players on big contracts. And that's why all the, the up and coming teams like the fraud wizards, made moves and stuff like that. Like Detroit, like you said, Kevin Herter doesn't even play, right? Denver didn't really make a move. Cleveland, they're the only contender, if you really think about it, that made a big move, several moves. You know what I mean? And so it's interesting, man. Boston made the Vooch move, but he hasn't necessarily played too well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
like
feel
he's
like
okay.
yeah, he's just okay. It's an okay. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to the playoffs, man. One of us will be right. All two of us will be wrong, and I know I'm gonna be right, and
Well,
Yarby's gonna be wrong.
If OKC wins, we'll all be wrong.
They ain't winning a championship again.
They're not winning another.
No,
I
not this
still
season.
believe in Oklahoma City. I know I didn't pick them to win the title, but I still think if they're fully healthy, they're still the team to beat. But hey, nobody's gone back to back so far this entire decade. And I mean, I picked the Nuggets to win, so I don't think it'll continue, but I think you still got to be worried about that team because we've barely seen them at full strength either. Because we haven't, because I know we mentioned Denver's injuries and Houston's injuries. The Wolves have been mostly healthy. I know Ant has been in and out at times, but they haven't had as bad of injury luck as like a Houston or a Denver. But the Thunder, that's another team where, like I said, we've seen very few minutes of their full starting group together. With the bench guys. I mean, J-Dub's barely played, and we haven't. I mean, like, when does he come back, and what does he look like? That's going to be key there because if you're picking OKC, you're banking on everybody getting better, and some of their other guys have been better. Like, I think Shea's been better. I think Chet's been better. I think some of their other bench guys have been better. They even got some guys back like Topic. They brought in McCain. So they do have a lot of depth. And I still think that, even though I didn't pick them to win, I still think that's the team to beat for me. It's not over until it's over. Like, the dragon isn't slain yet. You got to take him out first before it's over.
Yeah, the same team that's getting destroyed right now on national television by 50 by Denver right now.
Is it 50?
They're not healthy.
Oh, no, they're healthy. Shea's back. What's the excuse now?
J-Dub.
Oh, brother. J-Dub hasn't been healthy all year.
Bro, you're a Miami Heat fan, bro. You talk way too much, bro.
You're a Wizards fan.
That's fine.
And that's and to be fair, like, that is my concern for some of these teams. Like, if they're just not healthy, then they don't have a shot anyways. And that's the tough part in terms of winning the title, is like, you got to be healthy at least at some point. And for the teams that we picked, well, Minnesota not so much, but like for like Houston and Denver, they've been ransacked by. I mean, Houston has two starters that just will never come back, or one starter, one guy that plays a lot. Like, those are two guys that are not coming back at all. Maybe Van Vliet does, but I'm not betting on that. But
can I ask y'all a question?
Yeah.
So the MVP award, who do you have?
Cade.
Going into the year, I had Jokic, but he's not going to win it. I think if SGA doesn't get hurt, I think he still wins it.
Cade.
I think he still wins it.
Yarby, it's me. This is the first time I agree with Yarby, man. I have Cade winning MVP just because Shea can't miss 5 games. Shea misses 5 games, it's over. Jokic can't miss one more game, it's over. Cade, and honestly, why doesn't Cade why isn't this a conversation with Cade, though? He's the number 1 seed, right? I think he's only like 1 game away from having the best overall record. He's having a crazy season. Why isn't he in the conversation? How do we just give it to Shea because of the start he had? Cade was playing this well too. Like, what is that? I'm like, MVP is seeding and how well you're playing. You can't say Cade hasn't played as well as what Shea was doing.
Yeah, and he's more all around, I would say, especially on the offensive end. Like, he's on the boards. He also is dotting people up. Like, Cade is averaging 25 and 10 on pretty good efficiency. I mean, the outside shooting has always been a question, but the turnovers are down too, bro. He keeps getting better as a playmaker. His team is elite.
Supporting cast, I don't think is as good. Like, because like you don't have another ball handler creator off. I mean, you have Duran, but like, I mean, that he's a center. It's a lot different than having another secondary ball handler creator.
Cade's got my vote, bro.
Yeah, I don't think. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with him winning it. I just don't think if SJ doesn't miss any more games, I think they'll still give it to him.
He's gonna miss. I think he's missing 5, bro.
And that's the thing. I agree with you because I just made a video about that. If Shea doesn't miss no more games, he's gonna win it. But it's just like, why? Like, yes, he's having an incredible season. Yes, but bro, did you expect Detroit to be number 1 seed?
not
No,
at all. Like I said, I took the over, but I did not have them being the 1 seed.
Bro, they have 14 losses. 14 losses.
Right.
It's like you gotta give them credit. And honestly, voter fatigue is real. And honestly, I'm at this point where it's just like, yeah, like, bro, give it a Cade. Like, because next year, the conversation, SGA versus Jokic. Until one of these players just don't care no more about the award, it's always gonna be them. Because who's going to be in the conversation? You could throw Luka in there. He just doesn't have a good enough team. And Luka doesn't play no damn defense.
What about
so
Wemby?
It's like, who else? Wemby? Wemby got no legs.
Right, he can't play. He can't play enough games, I don't think.
Right. So it's just like, the MVP conversation is going to always be between those two dudes. There's no way every year we're just going back and forth with them, bro. We can't. That would be boring for the league.
Best guys.
I mean, yeah, they are top 2 in the league, bro.
Yeah, so that's
they're top 2 in the
good.
league.
That's how it's gonna go. Like, I think, like, and when they're playing and they're healthy, they put up crazy numbers and they win. That's usually why they're.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I agree with you. They're the top 2 in the league. But when it's this close, similar records, similar stats, How is it a runaway?
I don't think it's a runaway. Like I said, I don't have a problem at all with Cade winning. I think he's very much deserving of it. I just don't think he's going to get it. But if he does get it, I think it's going to be because SJ misses too many games, and then people will unfairly, I think, come at him and be like, and then they'll be waiting to see what happens with Detroit, watching like vultures, and then if Detroit goes out early, they're going to be like, see, this guy's a fake fraudulent MVP winner.
I think Cade's like odds have like quadrupled though.
Yeah, and it's because, and like you said, it's because of the games, because they're banking on that. There's no way that those guys are gonna not miss enough games. They're assuming that they're not gonna play enough games because like Jokic. I mean, I think he's out of the race anyways because I just don't think they've been as good. And he's can only miss one more game. I'm just not banking on him not missing any more games. Like, and then SGA, I think it's like 6 more games. But like they have to win games now because like for them, like they're only a game and a half ahead of the Spurs. So like you can't afford if you're SJ to miss more games.
Yep.
And they can't really just sit and be like, well, we're healthy. We got a 10-game advantage over everybody. So we can just sit guys towards the end of the season. Like they can't do that at this point. Like they need to kind of stay ahead of the Spurs. So I think there's a lot of incentives for him to play if he's healthy and ready to go. But like, I'm not gonna be like, Cade Cunningham shouldn't have won it. Like, he's played great on the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, right? Like, he's the reason they're the 1 seed. Especially when we were there when the team was not very good, right? Like, I think it was our first year, I think, where the Pistons had that 28-game losing streak, and then just like a few seasons later, now they're the record-wise best team in the East. Like that's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts before we probably wrap it up?
Hot. What you got something?
No, go ahead, bro. You got it.
Oh no, hot take next year. Mitchell wins MVP.
Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
Not happening.
That's why it's a hot take.
You know who's gonna win MVP next year?
Trey Johnson?
No, Anthony Edwards.
I like that.
Book it.
Fair player.
Book it.
Second fair player.
Book it.
Yeah, especially if they can get somebody else in there, alongside of him that can like optimize him even more. Like that's a good. I think
here's
that's
the thing.
Good...
Here's the thing. They're gonna get bounced this year, and they're gonna be forced to make a move. I don't know. Whoever they play, before they get to the Western Conference Finals potentially.
Okay, just making sure you ain't saying some terrible teams.
Like Houston could bounce.
I would take OKC and Denver over Minnesota.
like all right. Here's the script. Houston bounces Minnesota. KD gets his revenge on Ant. Right? Perfect. Cinema. Absolute cinema. Then somebody gets bounced from freaking Minnesota, bro, because that formula is not going to work.
You got to trade Randall.
I agree. You can't trade Gobert. I don't think.
No, their defense doesn't work without him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need him. And I'll be honest with you, and I'll leave it here. Nas Reed hasn't been good this year. He hasn't, in my opinion.
Underwhelming. I wouldn't say not good, but underwhelming.
He hasn't been as well.
I think part of that is the lack of another consistent ball handler guard option that can help get him some good looks. I think that's part of it because it's like Conley's kind of fallen off. Dillingham was not good, and now he's not even on the roster. And DiVincenzo's not like Ant's the point guard of the team basically. But it would be nice to have another guy that could at least help because I know they brought back Conley, but I'm not banking on that. Like I'm not banking on him having a bounce back performance, especially against the top teams. Like maybe against some of the other teams he could have a half decent series, but like against OKC, I think that's a terrible matchup for him. Just like a team with a bunch of long athletic guys, going against the smaller, undersized 40-year-old point guard. That's like, and I'm not trying to pick on him. It's just like that's I think going to be my concern with them going into the postseason. I just worry about if Randall has a bad series, or if Ant isn't if Randall has a bad series, you need Ant to be spectacular every game. And who's the guy to help get him easy shots? It's like the concern that I have with Houston is who's the guy that's going to help Durant or Şengün get some easy shots in some of these games? Because you need that at least for some possessions, not every possession, but you do need that I think for those teams. That would be my concern.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, that pretty much ends today's episode of Off Ball Takes. Again, it's been a while, but it's good to be back in it. And of course, if you want to join in on all these polls and everything that we talk and discuss about, go to at the OBT podcast. Of course, also continue to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Appreciate all the support. We'll see you next episode.